Hi there, and welcome to this Makers Tech U Member Spotlight Series. I'm Roben-Marie Smith, and our guest today is Lindsay Ostrom. She is from Northern California, and she has a rich history as an artist. She started out in her early 20s. She opened up her own shop. We're going to talk about that. She has over 35 years experience in the paper industry, and she's published and authored over 20 books in lettering and doodling. So welcome, Lindsay. I'm so glad to have you here today.
Hey, it's pretty exciting to be here. I appreciate it.
Yeah, and Lindsay, I think that we met in person, and I believe it was in January of 2014. I was in California for the CHA, and the Documented Life Project had just launched, and we met, I think, in the lobby of the hotel where a whole bunch of us met together and chit chat. I mean, I knew who you were before that, but then we actually met in person during that time. So so it's been a long time since I've actually seen you.
Yep, that's true. That was a fun night. And a bunch of the gals that I met that night, we've still remained Facebook friends anyway with.
I know it, and there's quite a few from those early days of the Documented Life Project that I'm still in contact with today. And I hear others talk about that and they'll share stories. And I'm just like, wow, I love that came about and happened.
Yeah, that was a great night.
Yeah. Well, Lindsay, you, as I said in the intro, you have such a rich history in art. And so I want to talk about your early days because you opened your own brick and mortar store called the Paper Rabbit when you were in your early 20s. Tell me how that came to be. I mean, that's really young to just be, I'm going to open a store.
Well, I kind of always knew that's what I wanted to do if I didn't go into advertising design, which was my first idea. That didn't work. I went to Art Center College of Design, and I had a teacher there who told me that my very first project, which was for some rum company, she said I did it all wrong. And not that I did the project wrong, I did the art wrong. Anyway, she gave me a really bad taste and I quit. I dropped out, and my dad was very thankful because he was going to pay for that. So he said, if you want to go to open your own store, you've got to get a business degree. So that's where I changed and got a business degree. And he gave me a $20,000 loan back in 1980, I want to say. And I paid him back in a year. So that was really fantastic to me.
Yeah. What was it was called the Paper Rabbit. What was the gist of the store? What did you offer? What were the products? Did you teach at all? What was that like?
It was 400 square feet. And the products were in the formal, fancy stationery world. We had very expensive stationery and invitation books that you ordered from. And within about 6 months, I realized I couldn't sell a pen that was like $1,000 pen. I had to switch everything. And we went to a show. Went to a show in, I want to say it was Las Vegas, to the HIA show, which was then the Craft and Hobby Association show, and now Creativation. And that's where I bought the very first 6 Mrs. Grossman stickers, all night media rubber stamps, and Mary Englebright's first cards that she created for Sunrise Greetings. And so we changed to a sticker store, a stamp store, and then everything just started evolving from there. So wherever paper went, we went. So
yeah, and those are really early days in that industry, I believe, because I think it was probably in around mid 90s, maybe mid 90s ish. The rubber stamps, the Mrs. Grossman stickers, I kind of became more familiar with them, but we didn't even have the amount of rubber stamps that we ended up having when we got more into the 2000s. Like it was just, wow. But I just remember those Mrs. Grossman stickers, and because those were what we had and they were different than, anything we had seen. So that was a pretty radical change from what you did, but you shifted and you pivoted knowing what was going to work and what wasn't going to work. And so that was super smart.
It had to be affordable. It had to just be, because we had a lot of kids coming in. So whatever was affordable, we went to. So
yeah. How long did you have the store open? How long were you in business
for? The store is still open. It's been 42 years.
Wow.
I don't own it anymore. I sold it about 10 years ago to one of the girls. She started working for me when she was 15.
Wow.
And then we moved to Northern California, it just didn't work. You have to be hands-on in your business, or. So she bought it and has kept it going, changed it quite a bit, but that's totally good. I mean, that's, to me, it's all evolving every day. So
right. That is amazing that it's still open. And even though it's evolved, it's still a staple in that community that it's been there so long. Like, wow. Well, I know your dad, which I think is totally fascinating, worked as, is it an apprentice for Ansel Adams?
He taught workshops with Ansel Adams.
Wow.
So they did like what we do, only they did it in Yosemite and in New Mexico and Taos and some really amazing places. And they did photography workshops. So every summer we would load up in the car, and I don't think we were home, very much. Every weekend we went somewhere. Wow. And he would teach with Ansel Adams, mainly in Yosemite.
Yeah. Oh, that is amazing. Did you
cool.
meet him as well?
I did. I wish I had brought it down here to show you. But anyway, I did. When I was 16 years old, I embroidered the cover of the Time magazine issue with Ansel Adams on it. I did a work shirt for my dad, one of those blue, cool, hippie work shirts. And then we took it to a workshop and Ansel signed it. Wow. And just recently I found a Polaroid picture of me and Ansel as he's signing the shirt. Wow.
So that is so cool. Wow, how amazing. What a great childhood, and just being around that creativity. And I love what your mom, when you would ask your mom at that time, as you were in business, for any advice or help. I'll let you tell the audience what she said. I love it. I love it.
She always would say, do it cute. She'd walk in the store. She did the bookkeeping. She'd walk in. Once we went to 4,000 square feet from 400. So we evolved several times, but she'd walk straight into the back to do her bookkeeping. She didn't want to deal with the customers. She was not a people person that way, but she would just walk through and say, do it cute, girls, do it cute. So
love that. And you're the creator of cuteness, which is your tag, which I love. And your work really suits that. The lettering and the doodling and the bright colors and everything that you bring to the art community. It's very signature. I know it when I see it. I know it's yours. It's just very signature. And did you start out with that as your primary creative, or did you really evolve over time to really kind of become a guru in the lettering department, I think, and doodling?
Yeah, the lettering, both lettering and doodling started in high school, just like anybody else who wasn't the best student in the world. I just started lettering and doodling all the time. And when I was 15 or 16, I started a company called Moonwind Press, and I did hand lettered greeting cards that I sold for like $2.
Wow.
So it's if you put it up next to something that I do now, it's not too far off. So.
Mm-hmm. Oh my goodness. I love hearing that, though. I was, I guess, entrepreneurial in a different way. I started my own typing service in college. I typed a lot of term papers for a lot of football players and people that needed it or any type of help with that, because they really, computers were still relatively, I was in college in the 80s, mid 80s. And so the Macs didn't even come out until like 84, 85. And so I remember when we first got one, I absolutely fell in love with it. I wanted to be in the lab, like every minute I wanted to be in the computer lab. And so I would help others, with that. But, we all have that. I love that. We both have that creative entrepreneurial spirit. I mean, obviously I've changed since then, but I don't, but
once it's there, you never get rid of it. If you are an entrepreneur, it is, I drive my kids crazy because they all have jobs, and I keep telling them, my son, you're a photographer. You need to do your photography. My daughter is a chef. You need to bake and sell at pop-up shops. My other daughter is an artist. I'm like, you could be making so much more money. And they just tell me to back off. So
yeah. And it's not for everyone. As you well know, you are a full-time working artist, and so am I. And that there are many things that come into that. It's not just the creative part, which if we could just spend our time creating, it would be awesome. But there's the computer work. There's so many things. And those are things, I mean, there's part of that I like the tech part. I like the computer work. I don't like the bookkeeping. That freaks me out. It's never been something I've done well in my life. My husband, thankfully, when he retired, has helped me with that. But it has been such a struggle in that department because I just don't, but you have to be able to wear a lot of hats.
You do.
To run a business.
And you have to go every day. That it's almost nonstop when you're a full-time artist. Who knew? I thought this would be a fun little thing, It is.
I mean, it has
is.
its moments. It is.
Yeah.
But isn't it awesome though? You're giving your kids advice to do that very thing
Yeah.
because you know how gratifying and satisfying it is, even though it's hard work. Because it is. It's not an easy
Right.
thing. You know, if people's like, oh, I'm just going to throw a course up online and I'm going to make a bit of art and I'm just going to, that's no. It's a lot more involved in that.
Oh,
And
yeah.
a lot of organization and being able to be able to kind of, you know, spin those plates, wear those hats and be able to make that work. So,
And the good news is once you get that all figured out and you're organized about it, you can take a couple of days off. Or I care for my mom who's in a memory care facility. So every day, every other day, I go there, but I still can. When people tell me they don't have time to do whatever it is, I think, yes, you do. You don't understand how much time you really have. So
yeah, and that's a good point. I'm glad you brought that up because your plate is very full. You do care for your mom. You run a full-time business. You have a new grandson, Atticus, I believe is his name, who, you know, and your kids and you know, there's more too. There's so many things. And like I said, so many hats that we wear, not just in business, but in our personal life. And there are times when I'll say to myself, I just wish I had more time to get this done. But then I'm thinking, all right, did I waste time today? What did I do today? And it's like, no, I mean, and I don't want to work from the time I wake up in the morning till the time I go to bed. I used to do that and I'm getting older now and I'm like, I don't know that I can continue to do that, but I know I can't say I don't have time because I do have time. It's just how we all have the same amount of time. How do we manage that? You know, so what secret do you have or what tip would you have for a fellow artist or creative in that department?
I make 500 lists a day. Here's the one that just made it to the trash. So I'm not a beautiful planner, journaler person. I don't have one of those amazing. I have every scrap of paper in front of me, writing lists, crossing out, cutting out, you know. And I think without writing it down, I'd be lost. So that's my tip.
Yeah. Write it down, get it down. And I've tried over the years, all those beautiful planners. I've bought them. I've started out and I'm like, I can't really make this work. And so I have found systems on the computer with this that I write out. Seems to me, it's like writing it, then putting it in the system and then getting my reminders, you know, messaged to me and things like that help. But I just can't make the creative thing work. I've tried so many times over the years and it just like, I fail after like a month or two. Like, oh, that's not working for me.
Me too. And I did take a class early on from a gal on Instagram. I can't remember who it was, but one of the things she said is to set time aside. Like Monday is your bookkeeping day and Tuesday is your marketing day. I can't do that, but I can do that within a day. I can do bookkeeping for an hour or whatever, you know, but it's different times during the day. So I'm not that organized.
Yeah. And I've taken and heard that advice as well. Like batch things out, like do all your blog posts on whatever day, whatever. And I'm just like, I would be bored out of my mind doing it that way. Like I can't do it because there's times, and maybe a lot of us creatives are this way, where I'm flexible enough that I know these are things that have to get done. But then there's the time, like, I like to get up and go, what do I feel like doing today?
Right.
That works better for me. Today, I feel great. I want to go create today. Okay, block off however many hours you need. And then later on, you know, do these other things. But to be locked in, and I've tried it. I've tried blocking off those days. All right, so this is the day I'm going to do it now. And it just doesn't work. I get bored. It's too, I don't know, it's too mundane for me, but it works for others. And that's great. You have to find what works for you. But with your success over the years, you've got a system that's working for you. And I want to talk a little bit about in your early days, you talked, I read that you were one of the first to start a stamp convention, I believe it was, and even a scrapbook convention. Let's talk about that.
So we had the first rubber stamp convention, which was the original rubber stamp convention, which is still going with Kathy Okamoto in Carson, California. And we had it, I can't even remember how it happened, but I think she used to come shop in the store. And one day she brought rubber stamps and she said, if I set up a little table and I show people how to use this pear stamp, which everybody looks at and goes, oh, that's pretty, but I don't need that. She goes, they'll buy it. And I've never forgotten that. If you show them, they will buy it. And that's been my motto my whole life. So anyway, she said, you've got a big parking lot back here. Let's talk to the landlord and see if we can just throw up some tables and have a little thing. And we did it. And I think we put an ad in Rubber Stamp Madness. I can't remember, but anyway. We had kid stamps come from Michigan or Minnesota or somewhere. People drove across the country. Stampa Barbara, there were, all the big stamp companies came to that. It was very cool. And then fast forward, when stamps became not as big and scrapbooking became big, we started bringing in paper and whatever we could buy from crazy companies in Utah that were barely even companies at that point.
Right.
There was so much really strange product.
I remember. Yeah, but it was cool because it was kind of on that cutting edge of being sort of artsy, like Making Memories and some was it Making Memories? There were a bunch of them, and there were some like that just kind of sprouted. They didn't really make it, but while they were out, it was like, get the papers, because they were so really cool. I mean, it was just so different.
There was nothing else like that except like handmade marbled papers from Italy or something, but you couldn't get something with rubber ducks on it. So then we decided that at that point I had written the lettering book and I wanted to give it to EK Success. I wanted them to purchase it or hire me or whatever. So we did that, sent it to them and said, hey, let's do classes with this. Then when you guys do it. So we decided to have the original scrapbook convention, which was hilarious. We sold about 140 tickets was all we could get people in, but 1,400 people came.
Oh my gosh.
And we refunded almost every person that came. We didn't hardly make any money because everybody wanted their money back because the classes were a bust. Creating Keepsakes was there selling their first magazine, and they ended up, giving them away. Mr. Hillier from We Are Memory Keepers was there. People were wadding up dollar bills and just throwing it at them and taking stuff. And I went into the kitchen where the hotel was. I threw up for like an hour. I cried. It was awful. But in the long run, it was super cool because all the gal who owned Making Memories, I wish I could remember their names, but I can't. This was her first event that she had ever gone to, and she had all these investors ready to invest. And she said after that, that's the reason she started all her stores. So
yeah. Oh my goodness.
Crazy cool.
Yes. And you guys being in California, y'all got everything before we did on the East Coast. It's like all the cool stuff was out there.
Yeah.
The stores were out there. And I remember those days. I'm getting goosebumps because I remember one time my girlfriend and I, she was from Detroit, and we were flying over to Europe, and we had to go through Detroit. We were where she lived. And we were like, okay, we've got to go to Michael's and see if they have any stamps, any scrapbooking things, anything that, and there was like nothing, but we were excited about the things they did have. And so we had no clue what was coming. But I mean, that's the way it was because we didn't have anything on the East Coast. No. All that stuff was kind of coming over. And I remember, I forget what year it was. It was around the time that, what's the name of that stamping magazine? I don't know why. Just
Rubber Stamp Madness.
No, it's more trendy, more artsy. Stampington.
Stampington, yeah.
Yeah, when they launched that their magazine, and I was like, ooh, look at all of these, because the stamp store opened where I lived, and I was so excited because all I knew about was Stampin' Up. And she opened, and she had all these kind of artsy stamps, and I was like, what was that one company? There was one that I remember was kind of, anyway, there were so many of them, I can't remember the names.
Yeah.
But I was like, oh, wow, these are really cool. I've never seen anything quite like this. And the different ink pad colors and all the glitter and the sparkles and all the stuff. And then there was a rubber stamp convention in town in Daytona Beach, up north of where I live. And I was like, well, I'm going to go there. And I could not believe it. I was just like blown away. And all of a sudden, the artsy side of things started to churn. And I was like, ooh, it's not just a pair card, it's layered this and layered that and all the things. And so I remember starting to teach at that store, and I remember being in the back room. I've shared this story over the years where I was ordering stamps to use, and I said to one of the girls that was back there, I was like, I could just start my own company and then I'd have the stamps I want.
Yeah.
He goes, yeah, you should do that. And I remember going to my husband and I said, I want to start a stamp company. He's like, what? I'm like, yeah. And he's always real supportive. Sounds a lot like you, your entrepreneurial spirit. And he goes, well, how much is it going to cost? I said, I'm not sure, but I don't think much. And then of course, that's when Paperback Studios was born. And then it just took off after that because it was the right time.
Yeah.
Stamps were very popular then. And then eventually, things were cyclical. I think they're going to come back eventually,
I think so.
but it was, man, it was a great time. And I remember going to CHA in Dallas one year when the scrapbooking part was just, it was so big. I couldn't believe that Making Memories was there and all these little startup companies. And you're just like, this stuff, the ephemera and everything. It was just
so cool.
It was a great time to be in all of that.
In the paper world. Yeah.
Yeah, it was a great time during that. So, and then how
somewhere,
cool. What's that?
I have a rubber stamp from Paper Bag Studios, and I will never forget it because I use it all the time. But I haven't used it probably in a year because I don't know where it is, but it's a front door. Do you remember? It's like a little open door, and like I think there's little rubber boots at the bottom. One of my favorite stamps.
Oh, I love that. Yeah, it was probably one of the ones I took. You had gone to Charleston where my family lives, and a whole just a day of just taking photographs that I could.
Yeah, it was from a photo.
Yeah,
it was beautiful, beautiful. It's somewhere.
It's somewhere. Yeah, it's somewhere. So, well, what an awesome history, what a story that you have. And so talk to me a little bit, tell us a little bit about your books, your lettering books, your doodling books, and what is that like? That's a lot of books, 20 something books. How do you do that? Like one book scares me to even try to do.
I know it's way more than that now, but I mean, this is what they look like currently through Adorn It. But the very first one came out in the 90s. That was the ABCs of creative lettering. And then I had scrapbooking books on how to scrapbook. And I was not a good scrapbooker, but they were looking for anybody to do it. So, you put cute lettering on the top of it with a photo and you are golden.
Right.
So now the only way I know how to make a book is to hand draw the entire thing. And then it gets, just scanned and made into a book. I don't know how to make pretty books with photos and like if you work for a real, like there's the center, just doodles and doodles.
But that serves an audience that is looking for that very thing. Now, are these self-published or are you working with a publisher?
So I'm licensed and I work with Adorn It, who used to be Carol's Creations. We go back, 35 years. Wow. And I got burned by quite a few companies and a licensing agent. If you ever want to talk about licensing agents, that's a whole other conversation. Wow. And so Carol Lee, who owned the company at that point, she said, "You're honest. I'm honest. We've been doing this for a long time. Let's just try it." So I said, well, the first thing I want to do is a book because none of them are available anymore. All the publishers had either gone belly up or like I did books with Scholastic for a while, but they only do them for a season and then you're done with your book. So unless you're Harry Potter. And then it doesn't matter what you do.
No.
So I just draw 42 pages and the cover and I scan it and send it to the publisher and they do all the rest, including the financial backup, which is lovely. And then I just get royalties. Wow. So I'm a lucky girl.
Okay. Wow.
So I do those. We have doodle box kits. This is like a subscription kit that you get. Mine's just a mess because the mail, the post office messes it up, but
Lindsay,
we have subscription kits. We have fabric. I have something really exciting new coming out. I do lots of quilt kits and embroidery kits because my art lends itself to that. Yeah. Even though I don't quilt or really embroider, so I do whatever they tell me to do.
It's through that company that you're doing those projects through Adorn It?
Yes. Yeah, I have Adorn It is one license. Another company is called Stitches with Love. They're in Florida somewhere. And that's another license. And then Impression Obsession Rubber Stamps is mine.
I know them. I remember them from back in the day. Wow.
Yeah.
Well, but you have your own online store, and I guess that kind of plays a little bit into Makers Tech U because you've been a member since the doors opened. You were one of the beta members that came in.
Yeah.
And were wanting to start or create your website, which by the way is great. I love your website. As soon as you get there and you see the color, it's just all, and I love
great.
So tell us how that has changed things for you. And I know it has because we've talked, but I want the audience to hear from you.
Yeah. Yeah. So the reason I wanted to start was because I was having trouble figuring out how to list my classes through Etsy. And I know a lot of artists do it. And I did do it and I didn't like it. And I remember hearing you say all the time, well, you just host them yourself on your website. And I'm like, I don't I don't get that.
Mhm.
So when you started the Makers Tech U, I was so happy that I got to be one of the test people.
Mhm.
And then my mom got sick and everything got twisted. So that whole year I was pretty much a failure in
No,
being
you
a beta
are.
tester.
Just the timing
But
wasn't
then
great.
yeah, and I kept it going, and I tell everybody now, they say, well, why do you keep paying for it? I'm like, well, there's new technology all the time. Robin has great videos, and if I can't figure it out, she can. Praise
Right.
God for that. So I feel like it's my continuing education. It's the best money I can spend every year. So we did it. I can't even remember what year we started, but it was all because Etsy was just too
Mhm.
crazy. And now Etsy is,
Oh, mhm.
they were on strike and they're charging so much now. And I'm
Yeah.
so grateful that I started my own website.
Yep. And it's on yours. You
Yeah.
got control. You're not paying all those extra fees. That's why I left Etsy way a long time ago was
Yeah.
I would be looking at the numbers. I remember saying to my husband, we are spending so much money every month in fees. I think I need to do my own. We need to figure out a way to do this on our own. And of course, then
Right.
that was a while back though, before we really had the Squarespaces and the technology that we have now. So,
Yeah.
so that was changing for you. I know that you are rocking it in your shop on Squarespace, on your website.
I know you do because you've been helping me.
Well, I want the
So,
audience to know that because you really have. You've been so successful with your online store. It's amazing to me.
I don't have a huge product line up there. I try to put, like an original every now and then, but it sells almost immediately. So I have my books. I have classes, which I teach almost one a week these days. I'm crazy with Facebook. I do a Facebook live class every single solitary morning at 8 a.m.
I
This
don't
makes
know how
me,
you're doing that. How in the world are you doing that? Like,
it makes me cry because it is such a community based thing that we started because of COVID.
Mhm.
And when my dad passed away in December of 2019, in February or March or whenever COVID hit of 2020, they locked me out of being able to be with my mom. And I got in bed and I'm like, I'm done. I quit my job to take care of my mom. What am I supposed to do? So I got out of bed like 3 weeks later. I swear to you. And I said, I'm gonna just go look at stuff online. And I saw some other lady talking. I don't even know what it was about. It was like a clothing company or something. She was talking on Facebook. And I'm like, well, heck, I can do this. I draw every day. Just get a camera, figure out how to point it down. I had no idea how to do that. And we have come up with stuff every day. Here's the part where I swear I won't cry, but I get ladies emailing me daily saying that they could not have made it through
Wow.
if I didn't do that every single morning. And I say, no, I couldn't have made it through without you guys because I just talk for 2 hours.
Wow. I just can't, I don't know. I'm kind, I mean, I don't know. I think that would be so scary. I mean, I can be on video, I can do, but to show up and commit to every single morning, oh my gosh, what if you don't feel like it? You just,
There are many mornings
anyway.
I don't feel like it. Many mornings, and I just sing my way through it because I am not a singer, but I know every lyric on the face of God's earth. So I sing. I like today. I don't even have it here, but we were working on Rolodex pages, so we did an Easter Rolodex card. So I try to do quickie little projects that people can do, and then I back them. I mean, this is embarrassing to say, except this is for Makers Tech U, but I back it with products, So I grab this is what I sell the most of, are collage elements.
Yes, yes.
That's what I call them. People call them collage sheets or sticker paper or digital digi stamps. I mean, I never even knew what that word meant, digi stamps, until a couple of years ago, but I sell the heck out of those things. And so I keep creating them. I try to do one every other week.
Wow.
So that goes all back to the website. So I have those, the books, the classes, and that's about it. There's not a lot. So, and I see artists all the time on Instagram that are doing the cute little stickers, and I always want to do those, but give me an assistant and maybe one other person and life might be good.
I know it because we have so many ideas that we come up with, but you can only do so much. And I think you have to really look at, like, for instance, having a stamp company. I knew what it was like to design And other than pressing the rubber, we did everything. Like we cut the stamps, we mounted the stamps, we did all the, and it was a lot. And so it was gratifying during that time. But then you reach a point, you're like, I really need help because I can't, and then I'm not doing other things that I can do to grow my business. And it's just, it is super challenging, but that is so amazing that you show up every day for your community. Now, is it a free community, or is it open to people, or is it
free? I'm still able to vet people because it's just really scary. Every now and then you get a really horrible human out there, but I have 12,000 people now, which is crazy to even say.
Lindsay, that is awesome. That is so
nuts. And I get probably between 100 and 200 every morning. And there are the same people that show up all the time. And every now and then we'll get somebody else, but then I'll find out about people who watch the videos after the fact, because everything that I do goes into the guides and the files in my Facebook page. And if I ever lost Facebook, I think I would just cry, because I've tried to switch to YouTube and it just doesn't handle. I give so much art in my classes. So there's a file, like a file box full of your art. And it's just super simple. For my demographic is probably 50 and up. And I have 80-year-olds and 90-year-olds who have never done art before, who are playing and doing.
I love it.
I mean, I don't want to say bad things, but they do the best they can. And it's so lovely to see, like Easter. These ladies were making baskets like crazy with just sticking pictures on them. And it just so makes me so happy.
But we all started somewhere, and we all, moved from whatever it was we started with. I mean, I made my own stuffed animals when I was a kid, I mean, I would not share those with anybody today, but my favorite one was a mouse named Ralph, and I loved him. So, we all start somewhere, right? And we find what we love. And I know I've been in that boat, and you can probably relate, and many of our listeners can, where we want to try everything. I want to make jewelry. I want to do fabric. I want to sew. And then you do and you're just like, there's not enough time in the day, in the week, in the month to do everything. And so you come back to, what do you love, and what just really lights you up? As much as I really like those other things, I just keep coming back to what I know. I feel like this is my zone, and I love this, and I want to get better and better at that, what I'm doing. And so, but you have to start somewhere, and then you find what you really like, and you're like, okay, I'm going to keep learning, and I'm going to keep learning and keep learning, and just get better at that. So, that is just so amazing. And what a blessing to not just you, but to all of those ladies in that community. I mean, I tip my hat to you, Lindsay, getting up every day and doing that. I just can't even imagine.
It gets me it starts my day too. So it really, like, if I do a quick little card or whatever has lettering or doodling on it, then I'm like, oh, and I make notes during the class. I'm like, oh, well, I want to draw this and do this and create this. And it is my 1 hour of coffee, because I don't drink coffee. So it,
and everything just kind of snowballs, and then you get, because when we create and as we continue, we get more ideas, and more ideas come to us. And so it's like you have to be doing in order for that to happen. So oh my goodness. Well, okay, so let's talk a little bit about your future and what maybe you would like to see in your business and your art, and you're creating anything over in the next 6 months. And I know you've got a lot on your plate with your family, your mom and your grandson. He's not old enough yet to really be showing any signs of creativity yet, right?
No, he's a wild man.
Yeah, he's still pretty young. So what is he, like 16 months, 17?
16 months. He's just the happiest thing in my day. He's just a joy, and I'm so grateful we're 15 minutes away. So
that is awesome.
Happy. But let's see. So I have a big meeting with Adorn It next week, where we're going to plan our next whatever, because we've done 15 books in the last 3 years. And I frankly, I'm booked out. I don't have another idea, but our big launch is usually always September, October, November.
Okay.
So I have some ideas for that, and we're going to talk about it. And then as soon as I get the ideas out to them and they say, yes, 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 and yes, that's it. My days are complete. So, that is the next 6 months out. I think we're going to do a retreat at the Adorn It warehouse with a gal who's just started a retreat company called It's Always an Adventure.
Hmm.
So, and she goes, it's really cool.
Where is it located?
She's out of Santa Clara or somewhere in the Northern California area.
Okay.
And she had a company where she did these retreats at businesses like she would go to American Crafts Warehouse and teach there, and then you could shop in the
Oh,
warehouse. So that's the idea, is you go teach at the place where you're using their product, and then you can all shop. Yeah,
nice.
it's a really good model. And so she's starting again after COVID, and I think Adornit's the first one she's going to do.
Okay.
So
All right.
that's
Now,
in October.
do you do any in-person teaching? I mean, aside
Yeah,
from potential, yeah.
I leave in 2 days for Colorado for it's called the Colorado Creative Summit. And one of the gals, she's been in Where Women Create, and she's taught in Switzerland and Italy. And anyway, she lives in Colorado. So, post COVID, we all have to take baby steps. So we're going to Colorado, and I think there's 30 ladies, and we're doing 3 days of whatever.
Wow.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. It's been a long time since I've actually attended. The last one I actually taught in Belgium, and that was in 18. I'm glad I was able to do that before everything kind of stopped, and I absolutely loved it. I hadn't taught in a while. Some health things had kind of kept me from being able to do in person. And once I did, I was just like, oh my gosh, I missed it so much. As an introvert, I can only handle so much. And so after a period of time, it's like, I need to go and de-stress, and then I'm ready the next day. But it was, my husband went with me, and we ended up being gone for like 3 weeks. We were tourists, then we went to England, and it was amazing. Yeah. So I'm glad things are opening up again, and people are, getting back out, and we're teaching again. Right. It's great doing it online, but I do miss the in-person aspect.
You know what? I thought I would. And then once I had to make 30 kits I have a John Denver class that I'm teaching. I had to make 30 kits for that at a Rocky Mountain Sunshine Girl. No.
Oh, yeah. I'm much happier on the internet. Yeah, you're right. I forgot about that. Actually, I had a young girl from my church. I had hired her to help me with all the kits. And I remember her thinking, she was even saying, she goes, this is kind of boring. I go, that's why you're helping me. I said, because I have so many I have to create. So when you're doing, you've got like 20 something women, but you've got 3 or 4 classes, that's a lot of kids that you have to put together.
Crazy.
Yeah, I forgot. You're right.
Right. And when I first started back in my store years ago, we did custom wedding invitations. And I loved creating that first invitation with a stalk of wheat and a beautiful ribbon. But then you have to make 150 of them, and I am out. No thanks. Yeah.
That's like the batching of, let's do all day, we're going to do one thing. No. Can't do. Yeah, that would make me mad, I think.
Yeah, you have to teach in-person classes though, again, because I didn't get to go with my friends who took from you down in Irvine, I think it was. And they have always told me, whenever we talk about my classes, they say, and I didn't take the class, so I don't know this for sure, but they said, Robin brought this suitcase or box full of so much ephemera and just said, take what you want. So the suitcase that I just packed, I am not joking you, I packed it full of ephemera. I don't want it. I mean, I have way too much. So let's share it with you guys and see what you come up with. So I have no idea what your class was, but
Yeah, that was in Santa Ana. Yeah, because I taught
at Jenny Doe's, right?
Yeah, Jenny's. Yeah, and the interesting thing is that the Documented Life Project allowed me to meet my very good friend, art friend Susan, who lives right near Santa Ana.
Oh, right.
So the first time I went out to teach, my husband and I both went, and so I was able to teach. We stayed at her house, and it was wasn't the first time we met. She actually had come out here. We called it our first date, where she had come out here to see her brother, and then we kind of met, and she stayed one night with me, and we went to lunch, and we did some art, and it was like, okay, because we'd always been communicating just by video and just by, and so it was like, okay, we passed that test, and I mean, and it's just been a great friendship ever since. We've gone on vacations together, our husbands and us, and I've been there many times, and I went a second time to teach Jenny's as well. So now that things are starting to open up a bit, I really would like to get back into teaching in person. But yes, they think about all the stuff we have in there's so much stuff in our space.
Oh yeah.
The paper and the everything. And it's just so exciting to share that and then see what they do with it, incorporating the class. So
yeah, I just filled an entire Ziploc bag full of pens, because as my pens get to a certain place, I don't want them anymore, but I can't put them in the trash. So I filled an entire Ziploc bag these gals are they're take them.
That's a
See ya.
great idea. That's a
Yeah.
great idea. Yeah, I love it. I love it. Well,
So that's it. That's the in-person classes for this year. 2 of them, I think.
yeah. All right. Well, that's
Yeah.
exciting. Where in Colorado, or where in Colorado will you be? Are you going?
It's Longmont, which I guess is near Boulder and Denver.
Yep.
Somewhere.
Mhm.
It's
Yep,
in a little historic building that we're teaching in, and it'll be
wow.
fun. There's
Oh,
three instructors.
nice.
Yeah.
Yeah. I've not done collaborative teaching in that way. I was asked to do something this year, wasn't able to, but I've never done it where it's been a collaborative. And I think that would be fun. So
it's fun because we're all completely different. One of the gals is mixed media and jewelry, and then the other one does wood burning, and like you're going to go forage through the trees and pick up stuff. And I know I'm excited about that. So
yeah, that does sound exciting. So
yeah, it'll be fun.
Yeah. Well, Lindsay, as we wrap things up, is there anything that you want to share? I know you mentioned something coming up, but you might have already alluded to it. Anything that's coming up exciting in the near future for you?
I mean, I can't think of anything that's happening. I have lots of classes coming up. I have a Beatles class that I'm teaching, and this is the new one that I'm working on. I was doing this before. Oh, go that way. It's called So Much Fun. Yeah. And it's not involving any sewing, just old sewing patterns. So I'm excited about that. Nice. I mean, that's it. I don't ever really leave this room that has no windows. So, this is where I am.
Yeah. You said it's a bedroom in your home. Was one of your son's bedroom that you've converted?
Yeah. And it didn't have any windows, and we did knock out a hole in the wall in front of me that I can see through to the other room. But yeah, if I could have anything in the world, it would be a room with real, actual. I remember when you and Sandy would do the podcast and you'd say, "No, we're sitting in front of the window and it's such lovely day." I'm like, no, I can't.
I know one window. It's like, and I have a window in my space, but it's not real big. It's only on one wall, and there's a porch out beyond it. So that kind of covers, and so the light's a little bit, but it's a window, and I'm thankful for it.
Take it.
Yeah.
Whatever light you can get. Take
it.
Exactly. I have big, these things, my big OT lights that just sit in front of me to try to give me some daylight light.
Yeah. Those daylight bulbs work great. I've got those.
Oh, they're great.
Fan in there as well, and that really is super helpful.
Yeah.
Well, Lindsay, it was amazing talking to you. I'm so glad to learn a little bit more about your past, your 35 years of just amazing things, and you're still going. And I think you're a real inspiration to a lot of those that are really kind of just starting out. I mean, we both
just have to just reinvent yourself all the time. That's what I tell people. Don't quit, just reinvent yourself. And then the same thing for Makers Tech. Don't quit after 1 year. Look at it as continuing education and keep it going. I mean, I'm not trying to do a shameless plug for you or whatever, but all the girls that I have recommended to do it, they set up their website or whatever, and they say, thank you. And I tell them, no, you've got to, at least for a year or two, keep it going, because there's so many things that are going to come up. You're going to want to go back and use it as a guide. And I don't know, I appreciate
it. And I really do. I really do try to have a really high touch membership. Memberships where I really never heard from the person that was doing it, or really didn't really have a lot of, but I really try to provide that and have that continuing, here's new things, here's something that's changed. And that's challenging on my end, but I want that to be a resource. And if you need help, I'm here and I can find
I know. That's the best thing. I know, like with the taxes, I was having shoot myself moments last year. And then this year, all of a sudden I got an email from you. I'm like, oh my gosh, you remembered. I was so excited that you remembered and put me in the loop. So great.
I remember how challenging that was. I actually had to bring my husband in and have him help me on that too. It's like, I don't understand the tax part of it. Can you help me with this? And we were working with spreadsheets and we were trying to figure out formulas and stuff, but that's what I'm here for. And if I absolutely cannot help, then I let you know. But for the most part though, it's like, all right, this is better. We got more people thinking it through and trying to figure it out. And that's the beauty of it, is not having to be alone or try to figure it out in Google. And you're like, I don't even know what I'm supposed to Google to try.
Yeah. And that's the good thing about the Facebook page now with everybody too, because somebody will ask just a real quick question. And if you don't know, or you haven't done it, 10 other people maybe have done the same thing. So you gotta, I mean, we have to help each other.
Oh yeah. And then it allows me to know what questions are out there so that I can go, okay, I'll do a training on that. And
exactly.
So yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Well, I appreciate the kind words about Makers Tech. It's definitely been a labor of love and something that I really felt was needed in the community.
It was.
Yeah.
I appreciate it from me. So
well, I really do. And thank you again for being here with us. We will have your links and ways to contact you in our post. So those of you that are listening, watching, you can access that and reach out to Lindsay if you have any questions, and definitely check out her cuteness, because it's definitely, I look at your lettering and I just go, oh, I wish I could do that. I don't have the patience for one thing, but anyway. All right. Thank you again. And everyone have a great day. Bye for now.
Bye.
Bye.
Are you ready to turn overwhelm into something manageable? Listen, I know you have a dream for your creative business, but you know it takes learning technology to make that happen. So stop wasting piecing it all together with YouTube videos that end up confusing you even more. Let me help you make learning and mastering the tech easy and fun, so you can spend more time focused on your art passion. Take a look at Makers Tech U. Investing in yourself is the best investment you'll ever make. So check it out at makerstechu.com/join. I look forward to seeing you there.